Dongo, Ahse Deere, Chahil Drift Karundos. Moes, Jaskida, Philip Deere, in Hojif Karoat. Chiskides, Ednegad Marundo. Mahokolat, Stijari and Bonagara Bonehoi, Jamazole Zidundos. Moes, Chaboshidat, Hovono for Lat. Mo, Stijab Maragara, Marigo Skislit, Stihitki and Bonagara Shienagon. Mo, Fullin. En leggen tovan is die de men aina ma haga zogo jamistogi chatkire se dotkire ain chaboji en leggen a zambonai mo is nit da hange imbonai mana orafki hain takwilin hayoi nagi ajikte chaboji maui Chamaji, Chambonai, Takwilin. Moe so one mahigon, Imbonogara, Chamin Yikchi Hagen, Nagi Maga Gitligon, Chaboshi Ambohen, Nagi Makta Gaze, Ajahiji. Gitlichigo, Jagade. In his to Jabonaga, Bonada Gitle Dunderway, Moes, Manak Magita, Gitlego Dunderway. Oh, Jagade. Ma isti in hotli in bonagara ma me bonai donchi chagesin chahan hoyen nagi no ga gonwe chat ki lahi chen just ki ambo he chaboshi da chahani bit ma chambonagara da isti in hotli in bonagara onwi bonai dondos chagesin moes in bonagara shine ja nak idedes in bonai Takwili, Champonai Dundos, Jatki Gazen, a billet wheelie. Mabonagada Shine Jita Marat Mabonagada E Nakin Hitchka, Onehoi Dundos, O Hombera Magitina, Nagi O Homba Madundos, O Lake the Magita, Nagi O Lake the Dundos, Moes Hofonagi, Imbonagada Zuligi, Nagi Shadadi. Hojif Kamahi, Ozi Badi. Chiboshida, Azole Ziaza, my man in Bonagada Bonai, Imajoldo, Dovan, Isti Azole Hakto no wa, Hadam Doi Azoleza, in Bonagada Imalagidundo, Dovan Imagitleste, Istides, Githi Badi, Imalagidundo, Chiboshida, Azoli Dundos, Hanyon in Bonagada Shineza, Istimaskogi. Imbonagara Amogan, Imbonagara Hojihoi, Magirua, Moes, Yara Maskogi Mahi, Imbonagara Dundos. Bonakdat, Ma Nahadki Maga Creek, Ma Gate Hojihoi Weri. Marat, in Hitchka Medigos, not a Hogi Magitinat. Dag Hitchka Rakwila, a Hoguji Magichiweri. Moes Hofonov, Istimaskogi Volat. Imbonagara Mahi, Ojadi. And what I was saying is, when I was younger, I used to, my name is Ahse Deere, and my father was Philip Deere, and my mother is Edna Gouge, and they both spoke the language, and my grandma spoke the language, and I spent a lot of time with my grandma when my siblings went off to school, and my father went off to work, or they went in the garden. I would stay with my grandma, and one day I was standing there while she was making sofki, and she was talking to me, and she started talking something I didn't quite understand. And I asked her, and she said I knew that lazy language. And I didn't know what she was talking about. She kind of got on to me, and later on I asked my dad, and he said, well, that lazy language you're talking about is in Stajari English, the Chagisligorundo is more, it's like descriptive. And so when you say it's a table, you're eating on something. When it's a chair, it's something you sit on. But the old Muskogee language, they had the proper names for it. They had the real names for it. We have changed our language some, and that's what Grandma was talking about. She spoke the old Muskogee language. And Bonai not, some of us couldn't understand her. Dad could. Wanny, McNack could. There were some old ladies at the old church that could. It wasn't the same as Creek. E mois a gitle de dundos, bombonagara de shineja henyua, isti hit gimbonagara ashiri ami hagidundos, stuzarida. And I think about that, the way that old language has gone and the language we have now, it's polluted with English. You know, people mix English in there. And moi a gitle de Tjadjaki and Bonayan Havono Fullia Jalaha Jawanwa Homogan Full Lats Dizal Bonaga Mamem Bonai Zaboza It's Godzides Zaboades Nagit Istides Daman Full Lat Madigos Bonahoi Kitle Mui Zamazole Zidundos. Wherever I went, everyone talked Creek. The old people, the grandpas, the grandmas, the aunts, the uncles, my brothers and sisters all spoke Creek. We all spoke the language. In my bonagada shine jishala, heidi duibadi. It was good back when everyone spoke. A bilgadat. You never laugh so hard, you know. Ma knock. Sizabanaka shine and bonayat. Zaboda Eunice Hill Hozifka. Nakonagzi Oneya Omogan Abilit. Avolit, Avachki Hage, Shed Kiddish Azit, Bohin, Dewey Nak Marget, E Nak Stoish, Marget, Ebilga Haga Mr. Yaza. My Uncle Eunice used to talk and tell stories, and he always talked in Creek, and you know, he was just trying to make a joke, trying to make you laugh, and people were always laughing. You never laugh so hard. Hovono ma only adia heidi do ibadi. Hayo isti volat andare hijin stemit così only fully didn't do it. Det ide bonaigon. Bonagara oje. I haladi only det nak makta yajigon. Moes mahaga jogo isti shaya isti hekki abioga haga miza isti mahayo only ahan hoya ma isti jari in miji wedi ma ahani but you know people used to kind of hold back. They don't want to talk, and they it could be caused by, you know, the non-speakers laughing at them or making fun, and the teachers being cruel to them, even at the schools and even the boarding schools. In Mijiwedi, Moesh, Chajatki Hangi, Ambohen, Jindak Bonagra Heathen Gitlidonche. Moesh, Naston, Ishti Ida Volat, Boneda in Haladigon, Mamahagozogo Mada Ayin. Jindesh ma bacon aitza. Jislogave, Jinokage, Mi Hoji, Bonagada Wagas, Jige Hoji, Onagoji, Jamanaitzi, Mois Dewey, Jimbonagada in Haladitza. Then I asked my dad, I asked him, you know, you talk real good and other people, some don't. But why is it that you hold on to yours? At the Bacon orphanages where he was sent, they beat him, they whooped him, they were hard on him to keep him from speaking his language. And boy, hot, knocked zamanayan, hey you, bomahan hoy, bonflagav hoy, yomotski hak not, iki oi, o shetsin, and lowavatsin, dakfolin, tibanagia jolly, daklegin. Don't shot. You hate to get hoyin. In bonagada, get hoyin. Boom goes out. Boom it to the legin. Shed get on it. Pomozit. Dak balades oji. Miko oji. Dak fullin. Avach get on it. Charlotte. He did my own dak atladi. And he said that he would sneak out at night. And there were other older boys, and they knew some of the songs, and they knew some of the ways, and Nagajikta, Imahayan, they would teach him some of these things. and they would have their own little like stomp dance. Even though they were young, they would pick out their takpalas and name someone Miko, and they would play Akabani Oint Moish Mamija Afachki Lege. Even though they were playing it, it made them happy. Hubei Lega. They couldn't come home. They were gone. They were way off. In Maui, the boat days a yacht, Zagajin, Janyik Jeji, Hagidundos. And when I went through that, my father said, that's what made me strong. And he said, Jindesh, Maramu in the boat Dahandonsi. Hayon Jiminit to Jilegichin. Daddy and Boneda Ojigon, Hagahi. And Hayon, I get lazy dundos. Mahi Jadoe. Daddy and Boneda Ojigon. Ma Donja. Minute dogin oge. Hokolin to chin in Mores. Keith, you don't know. He told me I would go through some of the similar things, the same things. It would be hard because I was so young and I could speak. And as I got older, I seen it. There's only 3 or 4 people I know that are fluent, that are close to my age or a little bit younger. Hayuwa istijari in bonaida yaze not. I got to go to people that's about 10, 15, maybe 20 years older than me. In bonaida Bonai Legan. Andesh Mahagazogo Hobay Riverside Maga Idoe Det Stijari Shigon Hayakbo Isti Madigos Fullen Bonagre Det Boneda Gisligon Dak Fullen Ayen Mo Minnesota What's a man Legan E Chajaki Jongat Ja man legen, ieder man legen, full in. Dovan miski alak not. Shit gere gisle jaidundo. Shit gere yovogere ya jaidundo. Dovan yovogen. Jogolak kotet shit gere ojidoa, isti en bohen. Sahi jen, isti in jogobale jen. Det bonayat mabohe jen. Asian bonaido stage. Do we knock magat? Marble heads in. When I was younger, I went off to Riverside. There was no one out there but them Plains Indians. And then eventually I went to Minnesota, school over there, and Ishtijada, I eat them in, knock in Bonahoyan. They spoke something different. And I would come home in the summertime. I'd be kind of lonely for the stomp ground. I'd come back, visit whoever I could visit, listen to people talk. And I used to, a joligida leg, knock on oguji chamane hoyat, marbleheads leg and yafki bihagen, yomotski des, hangi, chogobo legend, nidhi in nakabo hawano, leg mongen, henyon, shit get it labana handwe, magen, inga, chabonaya. They would talk to me and spend hours talking. If I got there in the daytime, they'd spend till the evening. If I got there in the evening, they'd talk to me well past midnight. But I would listen because my ponagara shine jishalat. Healy don't know. It is good. It is good to speak your language. Chaboshida. Stihet kim ponagara poneigon. Donkon. Ulagi badi. My grandmother couldn't speak English and she lived fine. Nishkojogo ayin. Ya. Jawangwa. Jalaha. Andesh. Emanage. Nagi yats donoa. Maisti het gien bohen. O freak to this. Nak yats not. Emanayan. Jaboji emanayan. She did fine. We as kids, we went to town with her and we helped her buy things. And if she wanted something, we would tell the clerk. And you know, for paying for it, we would tell her. She made it around. Just get out of buggy. we would all go. Ma hofono ma dolofa fatsen eida yajigon. Ma hangi last chance maga jogo nishka jogo legin. Ma mana be the yajin. We'd go over there. There was a little store called Last Chance. And that's where we would go. She didn't want to go to town. She didn't care to go to town. We'd go there and she'd buy everything she needed. Dalago des, aloso des, kotskida des. Just beans, rice, whatever she needed. Nitta hangi en legen. Nak nishi. Chaboshida. Ma o hombado oin o sho naga sho legend o legend. Ma nak ni ha jiaja zambohin. Ni ha madat oji don't see. Chaboji en meg engage. Oh no, jiaji chigona ma mesti heki nagi emane esti. Mo es ni ha oji don't see chaboji gezen. Na ni ha chayat. Hayon madak hich galega. Great ni ha le gidundos. Chagejen a hijen. The hit game bonaga doors a kitidundos going. And while we was there one day, she was telling me she wanted niha, which is like a grease. And I told her we already got the grease, Grandma. And she said, no, you want some? And she was saying niha, and I thought she was saying grease. And she goes, oh, I know. She goes, okay then, well, get me a great niha, is what she was saying. And healing, you'll mess it up. I mean, if you don't know it, ishti nak maga, ma bilga haga maga, jamistogi, madigos mi jen. Henyuna git leze ya, chatki abila, hije mongido, zabawa, amogan, ma dajagaya, dajagaya, abiti dahlegi, abili. Yafki bihagen. Anda mahista bohyagi jahagi dundo. Mastijari and bonagada bonaho ya bohin. Idawa mogan in fachko shigejueri. Bohin. Mara bohyagi homi. Agitle jedun. You know, those were good times back then, and they laughed and they talked Creek, and the members of the ring and at the ceremonial ground, they sat in the arbors, and you could hear them laughing and talking. And you could say the whole ceremonial ground was full of their laughter and hearing the language. Even in the camps, it was really good. Andat jamaniti mage moesa julezi ayadoa. Moi ra gitle dedo. Jamajolagi, jamajigit. Hanyon, yaponagara jinagidondos. Chaboshida, ishtijari, does magi godundo. Ishti does magin. Ishti mashkogi madoe. Hanyon, bonagara oze dondos, but not the togodoe, chaka hozin. She used to say that, my grandmother used to say that, you know, I'm not stijari, which is red person. She would say, I'm a Muskogee person. I'm a person. And this is my language. I'm not some animal. And they used to tell me to hang on to the language. Supposed to hold it dear and precious to you. Now those times, we don't have those times no more. Hovono Jakirat Iskanaga Duibadi Migosap Kojoko Ayin Moes Migosap Gomo Sizabanaga Gishit Bonahoy Ikanagades Dovan Ikanaga Mo Sizabanaga Bonahoy Hovono Hadi shadoki alen. Ma mekos apko zogo ayen. I bonagada bohida. Madigos ayen. My father, when he was younger, he used to be a preacher. And so he used to still take us to the church grounds. And we'd go down there and listen to him, and the people there, they would talk Creek to you. The preacher would preach in Creek. And when I got old enough to drive, and I would go to these churches just to hear them talk in Creek. Maongi ponaya. Ponagi dundos. Ma ponagada. Ofanga. Ma ponagada abon way hogi dundo. Moi chamashigi chamajole jidundos. That language is ours. God gave it to us. And ajayich da mahogat. You hold it precious. I don't know if English can do ajayich to justice, but that's as close as I can get. Ajayich jidundos mahogi. Madun mi jaya. Hey you knock. I guess let's say though, more hit game when I go my man Shane Jahandoe. You know, God, this is the way I feel about it, and I'm going to use the English language to finish up here. Is that I always felt that, you know, I was blessed to be stajadi. Ani mena jai jado to be stajadi. I hold it important, and I think if you're born stajadi, if you're born Muskogee, if you're Indian, then you should appreciate it. You should look at it and care about it, because God loved you enough to make you Indian. He could have made you anything else, but he made you stajadi. Shed kiradesh. Migos apko godesh. Damamahe aitat. Istajadi don't say. Wherever you go, you're going to be stajadi. Go to the church house, you go to the ceremony ground, wherever you're at, you're stajadi. And ofunga jin hai dundo. And God made you that way. But